What is the value of performance marketing to community managers? Well, if you're here to talk about that today, you're in the right place. My guest today is Muge Ovali of Muge, and we are going to have an amazing conversation about leveraging performance and growth marketing to grow your online community. Kalisa, roll the opening. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever in the world you may happen to be tuning in from. You found Talk About Your Community. This is a live show we run about every 2 weeks where we bring in a variety of guests to the show to talk about areas of expertise, understanding how to build online communities, offline communities, and my favorite, what's in between, the hybrid community. The guest today is going to be amazing. No exception to any of our past wonderful people we've had on this year. I am very pleased to welcome onto the show Muge Ovali from Muge. She is an ex-Shopify expert, and we are going to be chatting a little bit about performance marketing as it relates to community building. And so we'll be doing that. But before I bring her onto the screen here, I just want to welcome everybody who's maybe tuning in for the first time. The Talk About Your Community show is live streamed up on YouTube as well. You can catch the replays there or here on LinkedIn. And I do also, with the help of Kalisa, my amazing engineer, push it out through our other social media exhaust ports like Facebook and Instagram, and occasionally we had done X, but maybe we'll look into doing Blue Sky or something like that. What do you think? I just joined Blue Sky this week. It was kind of interesting, and we'll see where that goes. But a lot of new entrants in the social media world coming about, and maybe Muge will have some thoughts about that as well. But I do want to give a quick plug before we get started. December the 13th. Friday, December the 13th is going to be our last stream of 2024. And it is going to be a community celebration. And we're going to have actually multiple people in the stream from community world, friends, colleagues, and associates who have been great supporters of me, of Clocktower Advisors, of the Community Consultants Collective, and of Talent-Led, all these worlds in which I play. And I'm very hopeful to see all of you tuning in to celebrate as well. So your choice, like we are being non-specific because there's a lot of holidays happening this time of year, but wear your favorite ugly sweater for the holidays, bring a favorite hot cocoa beverage, and we'll just kind of sit around the fireplace and shoot the breeze, talk a little bit about the year that has been for community and maybe what's ahead. So I hope you'll join us for that. Again, that's coming up on December the 13th. But in the meantime, without any further ado, I want to bring on Muge onto the screen. Muge, hello. How are you today?
I'm good. Great to be here, Todd. How are you?
I'm doing well. I kind of refer to you as ex-Shopify expert, but you worked for Shopify, right?
I'm an ex-Shopify employee, actually.
Yes. You want to talk a little bit about your background and what led you to create Muge as an organization?
Yeah, of course. So I am the founder and managing director of Muge, and it's a growth marketing agency that is focusing on performance marketing, I can say. But prior to this, like my journey is like an interesting cocktail. It is this combination of big agency groups, tech giants like Shopify, e-commerce companies and startups. And what led me doing this, I think like for me, working for myself, creating and building something that belongs to me has always been very exciting. And I've always thought like for me, one of the biggest passion for me is social cause, social impact. So when I was building Muge, I stepped back and said, okay, how I want to incorporate social impact to this. So I built this program, Ubuntu, and this program enables my clients to donate a portion of their monthly service fees to a charity of their choice. If they don't choose that, I do choose on behalf of them and make the donation each month. But like keeping this social cause in the system and company I built is very, very exciting, I can say.
That is so inspiring. And I feel a little bad that I haven't done that with my own agency. We'll have to talk about how to set something like that up, because I think that's incredibly admirable what you're doing. And when you were saying I couldn't help it, I just gave a little yes when you were talking about building something for yourself. I think that's so important. So many national economies are built on the work of small business owners and building out independent lifestyles in the work that we do. And I think everybody should own their own business. Large companies have by and large not been great stewards of their employee resources. And so now they can get better at it. But I really think like taking control of your own career, of your own destiny with work is so incredibly important.
Yeah. And there is this like remote work aspect to that. Like since January 2024, we've been traveling with my husband. Like we've started traveling across Canada, and it didn't mean that we did not work. We had still our 9-to-5 work schedules, but it gave this like flexibility to us because my husband also works remotely. So it's incredible. Like you can literally have this amazing, like fulfilling life while you're building something that again belongs to you, I can say.
Absolutely. So I just want to give a quick shout out to a couple of friends who showed up on the stream here. David Fergan, Todd Jones, Heather Angel, all friends from the Community Consultants Collective network, communityconsultants.life, for anyone who's interested in that. And then there's another LinkedIn user here. I'm not quite certain who that is because I can't see, thanks to Streamify, or perhaps thanks to LinkedIn not playing nicely with everybody. But yeah, I don't know.
Maybe that's my.
Oh, that's Ilker. It's my buddy Ilker. Yeah.
I thought maybe that's my, one of my parents or my aunts.
Yeah. Wonderful. Yeah, I know Ilker is actually back in Turkey this week. He was in the UK and went back to see some family. So hello, my friend. Great to see you on the call. And hello to Catherine and Seth, who I see are also joining in. It's just a merry group today, and really, really glad to see everybody. Why don't we dig into the topic at hand here? And I'm going to admit to some ignorance around sort of maybe the history of the provenance of the terminology of performance marketing or growth marketing. It's a buzzword out in the world. How do you think of it, or how do you talk to customers in terms of the work that you do as a performance marketer or growth marketer? What makes that different from a marketer?
Interesting. So performance marketing is where user acquisition is like it comes in, where the user acquisition is the goal, like the main, because it's very performance related, like that you have your metrics you can track towards. Of course, you might have like some awareness or engagement campaigns as well, but to be honest, like most of the campaigns I am part of, they are very, very conversion and user acquisition focused because it's trackable, it's measurable. Like you have all data you need in order to make optimization, in order to like run different experiments and tests. So I think that's how make it different. It's not like, I think the biggest difference from maybe like community managers and performance marketers are, for community managers, of course, there's this growth aspect, but for the existing community, you guys are trying to like engage with them. You guys are focusing on retention, while performance marketing is for more for like prospecting audiences and or like creating some like retargeting campaign. But again, the focus is more user acquisition, I can say.
Interesting. That's a great distinction. Thank you for helping me to get that straight in my head. I appreciate that. We were talking a little bit before we started the stream here about how I think for many community professionals out there, we end up focusing a lot on, once we get people into the community, how do we keep them there? How do we get them engaged? How do we, it's really that long-term relationship once we're there. But of course, the key to that is getting people to find the community in the first place, getting them to come in the door. And I feel like with a lot of organizations I've worked with, or the task of getting the word out or getting people to come to the community gets booted to the marketing team. And I'm just kind of wondering, like, what kinds of things can we do to deepen that relationship between community and performance marketing to get better results out of all of that?
I think performance marketers, like growth marketers and community managers, should work very closely. Let's step back, and we should definitely accept the fact that everything in marketing, they work together. And like some parts of marketing, actually, they feed each other amazingly. Like we can get very, very valuable insights from each other. And let's give an example. For performance marketing, like we have to know who we're targeting, right? Like in order to get the user acquisition in the place. And while like community managers have actually these insights in terms of who their audience is, like what the motivations these people have, what are their purposes. So these specific insights are super, super helpful for performance marketers. And eventually performance marketing is going to help community growth as well. If we work together and if we put the community growth strategy in place. And actually, like today, Todd, I really wanted to give some examples where I have done this in my past, because again, it's not too common for performance marketers to grow communities. However, like the user acquisition and growth marketing plan performance marketers have in place can actually help community growth really, really well. So like, I think one thing we have to know, what we have to focus is identifying the target audience, right? Like every great community starts with knowing like who their members are. Like when, first of all, like just to give an example, when we worked with a healthcare brand in the past, we identified that their audience had diverse needs based on like whether they were seeking mental health support or like some alternative wellness solutions or fitness advice. So instead of treating them as one single group and going after like, hey, this is the wellness community, what we did is like we segmented each group based on their needs and based on, again, their purpose. One is trying to get better in their mental health. One is trying to get better on their overall maybe wellness, but like maybe fitness. So we segmented those, and this allowed us target like each group with tailored content, right? So in this place, I think in this case, like community managers did help us understanding those segments. So that was very crucial. And how they did that? They did run surveys. They had in this email marketing campaign they did have, and they also did run retargeting campaigns for where they have run poll ads. Poll ads are very interesting. Like we can have them in LinkedIn, we can have them Instagram and Facebook. And one, it's great to like run them and reach out to some like similar audiences to get, again, like valuable insights. But two, we can actually run these campaigns or ads for our existing community, right? By retargeting, we can upload email lists and go after them with our performance marketing campaigns. So it was a main tactics. And again, like I think if you go and define 2 to 3 audience segments, it's like it makes community members, the audiences, much like they feel more seen, they feel more valued, and it just eventually it eventually increases the engagement rate, definitely.
That's really amazing. So I just a quick shout out to Hamad and so I think
My friend.
I'm not sure if I'm saying the name correctly, but welcome to you both. Good to see you here.
By the way, Chaltai is an amazing creative guy. We're working with him for one of my clients, a gaming client. He's amazing for anyone who needs a creative designer.
That's a great plug. That's wonderful. So Muge, for brand new online communities, like a lot of times I'll be called in as a strategist to help them determine the profile of those individuals, and I'll generally work with the marketing team or whoever's available to find out if there is any customer segmentation or groups that they think would be good to talk to about it. The questions that I'm asking people about online community maybe tend to be a little bit different than what maybe the marketing team may explore, or the people who would participate in community may be a little different than maybe you might think. Like they're people who are trying to get work done or trying to solve a problem, and they may not be the executive decision makers. And so like I sometimes worry there's a little bit of a split between the expectations of what those profiles are, because I will say that sometimes a leadership team will say, well, we already have really good personas, for all the people who are going to be in the community. But I find that the reality of that is sometimes a little different than what maybe they expect. And so sometimes that's a little bit of an uphill battle for community professionals who are trying to build out those community profiles. And then I'm also kind of wondering, how many of those individuals should we be talking to? Is there sort of a baseline to get take on what that group or those segments and those needs happen to look like?
I think that group of that number will grow gradually, like as this company goes by in their growth marketing strategy. So I don't think there is this specific number, but and we should play with the numbers what we have, right? Like even it's a small audience size, even if it's like a 300 people, I think it's still a super valuable audience group, as especially when we know that those people do belong to our community. So any audience size is valuable. However, when it comes to performance marketing, and if let's say we want to run a survey ad across our community members to get their insights or some inputs for us to reshape our future growth marketing strategy. For performance marketing, there is this minimum audience size requirement for most of the paid media channels, which is 1,000. So 1,000 should be the audience size if we want to launch a performance marketing campaign. However, if that's not for our existing community members, then things do change actually. So we know that those people are XYZ. We have these specific characteristics for each group, and we have 3 personas. Then performance marketers have these super valuable insights to build these personas in digital channels, and the audience sizes will be quite huge because we're not going to be limited to target the existing community members only, if it makes sense.
Yes, that makes total sense. So I want to grow my community, whether it's a brand new community or whether it's one that's existing, but I want to give it a new breath of life by doing outreach and that work. I know I've got options to do things like social media ads or pay per click, on Google. Where do you come down on those platforms these days? And what kind of budget would I use to start to understand my options? And I'm a complete neophyte when it comes to doing anything other than organic. So the ad world is a little bit mysterious to me.
Great question. So I think, yeah, like the budget is always the tricky part, and especially when the community growth is the main goal, like when you don't specify your return on ad spend, etc. It just can be a bit more challenging, and sometimes finance departments might not be agree to like spare budgets towards increasing community members, right? However, it's so important. Like if we're making those people loyal, the retention rates are amazing. Like we, in this world with crazy AI evolution, I think we have to focus on loyalty of our community. And social media ads can actually be very, very tactical. I'm not going to touch base to like search engine marketing, to be honest, Todd, because I think as we're trying to like reach out to potential community members, I think social media ads will be definitely more valuable, especially if we, again, have some characteristics, and if we know those like persona details, then we can make this guesstimation on which channels they are in. Let's say you are a B2B company, you are you have a software product. I would not recommend you to build your community by social ads in TikTok. However, I would say, hey, LinkedIn can be actually very tactical for you. Why? In LinkedIn, you can go after specific job titles, right? You can go after specific companies. So you can be very, very specific. However, LinkedIn is the most expensive social media channel when it comes to like cost per clicks or cost per conversion. So it can be a bit pricey, but we can be very specific with our targeting parameters. I think if it's a B2C customer, B2C brand, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram will be definitely your go-to channels. Reddit is very interesting because like you can go and target specific subreddits through Reddit campaigns. So if you know your customer, if you know your community's challenges, some questions, like you can actually assume that which subreddits they might be looking at, and it again, like it gives you this great opportunity go to target these people. And also, like I do want to touch base on lead magnets thoughts. Like maybe you're running lead magnets for your business, but let's just talk about what lead magnet is and like what value it's providing. So it's an incentive, it's a resource, right? Offered for free for our like prospecting community members in exchange for that person's contact information. So typically it could be an email address, you could collect these people's phone numbers, etc. But it's a very important and key tool in marketing, in performance marketing, and as well as like growth marketing. It's a great tool to attract potential customers, potential community members. So they have to be valuable, they have to be relevant, and they have to be accessible. And we can actually have these lead magnets and run them as an ad creative in our social media campaigns. And if we're very specific with our personas' needs, challenges, purposes, pain points, then it will allow us to create very specific, very to the point lead magnet ideas, right? Let's say you're a B2C company again, like you might, and you're a cosmetic brand that is focusing on like skin products. You can have it. What's your perfect skin routine? Take this quiz and find out. And once you know these people are engaging, you can say, hey, they can be my community members. And once you collect those emails from these people, then you have this amazing list that you can nurture through your email marketing campaigns, right? So social media, not just social, like because I could go and say, oh, let's run video ads. There are tons of different ad types we can run in performance marketing. But we have to define our goal, we have to define our objective. And for community, I think for community managers, lead magnet should be the North Star type, North Star strategy, if it makes sense. But from budget, I know you asked budget and I did not reply to budget. So really, it comes to your goals, Todd. When I have a client call that I'm going to build a strategy for performance marketing, they say, oh, we want you to recommend a budget. And I ask them, what's your goal? What's your objective? Like, do you want to drive 100 emails per month? Do you want to drive 2,000 social media account engagements? Like, what's your specific goal? So I have to first know the specific goal. Then it will allow me to work on my projections for my KPI projections. I have to check my industry benchmarks. I have to look at like specific KPI metrics for each channel, which will allow me to come up with a budget recommendation for you.
This is interesting. I think it forces community professionals to take a hard look at their own metrics. So, what is the value of a member of the community in terms of loyalty, renewals, continue referrals, advocacy acts, all of those things. If it can be boiled down to any kind of metric that the leadership team can agree on to say, yes, that is worth X amount of dollars, for us to have an active member of the online community. And then for us to say, we're looking for 10% growth over the next quarter in the number of people that join the community, because we know it's going to translate to this many people that stick around in the community and become loyal, active members or advocates, of the space.
Exactly. And like you mentioned the referrals, right? I think like it's not a solely performance marketing strategy, but I see how impactful it is. And especially when I leverage these like referral codes, some like referral campaigns in performance marketing. That's also an interesting driver for potential community managers, because we should all accept in each industry, even like for my vertical as well, like as an agency owner, word of mouth is remaining like one of the strongest drives, right? And it's the same for community growth. So we should definitely acknowledge that. And for like what we have done earlier is for a membership program, we offered perks like exclusive contents and discounts for referrals. But I think it was very important to be very specific, again, because if we have the segmentation, I think, again, those referral campaign details can also differ, depends on what drives that community persona, right? That specific persona. Yes. But I think it's interesting. But again, I think, again, it comes to where we started, segmentation, identifying the audience. I think that should be like step one. And that literally taught, like, it's just shapes everything you do about community growth too. Like, you just don't say, oh, let's run a referral campaign. Right. But you can be more strategic and say, hey, for my persona, they actually care more about exclusive tips. Let's say it will be more like specific. For my gaming, for one of my gaming clients, we have so many different personas. Like, one is like super competitive, like they're very competitive. This group, they're playing very competitively. One super casual, like very casual. They just like look for interesting content, like some, again, content to consume, but they're casual. They're not competitive. But for the competitive ones, we did try to like engage them with some exclusive tips, like, and tied in the referral codes. Like, I think it's important to tie in what matters most for that persona.
Sure. you sparked my imagination when you were talking about the potential value of lead magnets in this process. I feel like with at least with some communities that I've been involved with, that anytime there was external marketing, the idea was, yeah, we want a great landing page, and our conversion is get them into the community right away.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering, like, what I'm hearing is maybe that's not the immediate goal, because that's the payoff. We've now converted people into the community, but it sounds like give them great content that is maybe derived from conversations or insights in the community as a teaser to join the community. Like it's the opportunity, I think with so many other kinds of product sales, build some trust and intrigue about what it's about the value, and then the ultimate ask is to get them to join the community. I hadn't really thought of it much in those terms.
We should give, right? We should give what they're looking for in order, like, that's just, yeah, they're not good. And again, like, we're living in this zero attention span world right now. Like, we have to be super, like, it becomes very, very much super challenging for all of us in marketing. I don't think it's just for performance marketing, but it makes it like pushes us being definitely more creative, more engaging. We should give a value. Like, we should definitely provide a value if we want them in our community. And again, it's like, I think, like, win-win situation, right, Todd? If, like, we're giving, let's say, and lead magnet also can be in a form of webinar, right? You might be like, maybe like, just like thinking loudly, you're recording this stream and you're getting these maybe like some cuts from these that has specific strategies, and you just run this as a on-demand webinar, and this is a lead magnet as well. And if you know that this people, like the converters, like the people who provides their contacts, if they're providing these details, they know they are very likely to join your community, because they have very similar drive, similar motivations to what you're looking for.
Yes. We're talking to Muge Ovali of Merchant, and all about performance marketing for growing your online community. If you're just joining, welcome. I see Fida and Daniel and Hamad are all here as well. Hello to you, and Mert as well. So great to see you all. Just wanted to acknowledge a couple of things. Hamad saying, yes, it's always a big ask for marketing to justify their budget to finance business partners. Yes, absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think there was something else in here I wanted to kind of pull out. Seth said, my screen froze for performance marketing. There's a minimum audience size.
It is 1,000, Seth. I hope you're still with us and you're listening to this. Yeah, it's 1,000 is the minimum audience size.
He said, was it 42? I think it's a reference to the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, but I'm not sure. Yeah, the answer to the universe. Very good. I wanted to come back to something you mentioned a little bit earlier about you kind of dropped in that, hey, AI is having an impact on things, and I almost wanted to put the question to you in such a way to say, is it now about social media platforms and maybe even AI search more than Google search now?
That's a very interesting question. It's a very like unknown era for all of us, Todd, and there are things change rapidly. For instance, for search engine optimizations, all the algorithms change now. Like, we cannot go after being very like keyword specific content, other than we should establish a topic authority. Like, you have to pick your topic, and then you have to show your brand, your community, your brand as a topic authority, because AI and all this AI generated content can beat you up. You have to differ yourself. I think it's very similar with social media content and again, for when it comes to like search, like AI search versus human centric search as well. Like we can still like leverage these insights that will like feed our, again, future marketing goals. But it's also getting very tricky, to be honest, Todd. Like it's just, it changed super rapidly, but we have to adapt ourselves as marketers. But when like I see so many like so many creative, like AI creative generator tools, for instance. And these all generate like different banners with different text overlays. But I want to come and say, look, like right now, especially when it comes to the media buying, when it comes to the ad creative performance marketers do run, we have to acknowledge that the people we're targeting, they do have ad blockers in their subconscious. Okay, so all those like AI generated banners, they will not pass through that ad blocker. You'll be like blocked, and you're not. So we have to make sure it's our creative, our content has human elements, has authenticity, and we should create this organic like ads. Right now, what I'm seeing and what I'm fascinated through like all of my ads, through, because I have a health clinic brand, I have a gaming brand. It's just, but it's across the board. You have to be authentic. Like you should create this, like people should be like, oh, it's an organic content, but they like you should create that sense on like, oh, this is organic. You should hide that sponsored section, because people just literally they just scroll down. They don't have time for any ads. They don't want to be sold to your brand. And so yeah, that's my one thing about AI.
One of the most famous things that's kind of stuck in the back of my mind, man, I can't remember the name. He was a sales consultant in one of the business journals, but he always said, people love to buy, but they hate to be sold to, right?
Definitely.
Yeah. No, it's wonderful. So someone asked a question here. What does the intersection between adaptation and authenticity look like?
That's a very good question, actually. What is the intersection? Again, I think this insight is lying in our community. Like that's where our community members play a huge role. Like I think we should pay huge attention to what they're adapted and what they're engaging with, right? Like what's their, like, this concept in product marketing, Maya concept, most advanced yet acceptable. I think it applies to many fields, especially and in marketing as well. It should be advanced, but yet it has to be adaptable. And we have now this authenticity element that we have to make sure. I think, yeah, I think like observing the community members, looking at what they're engaging, what motivates them, what their pain points is crucial. And also one thing, Todd, like maybe that will also clarify the question here. In performance marketing, we care about experiments and A/B tests dramatically. Like everything, let's say I'm building this strategy for my client, and before I launch the campaign, I have this experiment plan in place for the next 6 months. Either I'm going to test a creative element, maybe I'm going to run different creative types, different landing pages, but you should be having this approach where you test, analyze, collect, and it has to be this ongoing ongoing process, and it eventually gives us huge insights on what's working, what's not. And again, this can be used by community managers as well, because you can just say, oh, this month I'll create this type of content and this, or I'll send this survey, or I'll just create control groups, right? And run different email marketing experiments. I think as marketers, we have this like huge opportunity to test and get the result optimized. So that's also, I think it's helpful for community managers as well.
That's a terrific insight. Thanks so much. And I wrote down Maya as well. I want to remember that for future conversations that I have with customers. That's really amazing. Quick shout out to Helen and Matthias. I think Matthias jumped in a little bit late. He had a comment. Yes, if you want to build community ads, and general communication should not be too slick. Human and sloppy is the way to go.
That's so true. 100% agree.
Wonderful, wonderful. So I'm wondering, we're getting a little low on time here, but I wanted to ask you, are there any communities that you feel have done performance marketing well, or that you've had some personal experience with that you're proud of the result of? Open-ended, if you can't name names.
Yeah, I'm gonna
totally
just
okay,
say
but,
I'm gonna name the industry, but I worked for a wellness community to grow their community, and it was very interesting. They were not at the beginning of the journey to their growth journey, so we've used lots of good insights from their existing customers, and it did not only allow us to build strategic performance campaigns, but we also created this partnerships with one of the well-known fitness community in Toronto. So what we did is we created this partnership. We also utilized it, we did create performance marketing campaign and amplified that partnership. It was very important to get advantage of the health, get advantage of the fitness brands community, because it's important when you do partnership. Of course, you have to align on purposes. If you want to do this partnership, you have to know, okay, this X brand has the same values, same motivations. So actually their community members can join to my community at the end of this partnership. So we did that. We did use again performance marketing to advertise that specific event. Also, we did run a really nice lead magnet campaigns towards IG and Facebook, and yeah, that was a very successful campaign. It did run for 3 months, and yeah, the results were quite promising, I can say.
That's a wonderful example. Thank you for sharing that with us. As we kind of wind down here, I wanted to invite anyone from the stream audience, if you've got a question for Muge, happy to take it before we land the plane here and debark the passengers. But Muge, this has been really amazing to get your insights and ideas for growing communities. I'm wondering if there's any books, podcasts, YouTubes. Where are you finding inspiration today for your work?
For me, it's performancemarketingworld.com is my Bible, I can say. That's where I get most of the insights for the industry, and it's a rapidly changing industry, especially for performance marketing. And I have so many different newsletter subscriptions that I do not remember, but Search Engine Journal is also very insightful. These two are my most used sources, I can say. And again, I'm following so many YouTube channels, not podcasts. For podcasts, I do go with more casual topics, to be honest. But
sure.
When it comes to professional development, I do really enjoy those resources I mentioned.
Well, that's great. I'm sure that'll be a great direction for some of our viewers to check in on. In the meantime, I didn't see any new questions come into the stream, but we've had some really great feedback from everybody. It's been great to see the conversation buzzing out there. Muge, before we go, I would like to put up your website and give you a chance to just kind of talk again about the kind of customers you work with, if you want to.
Of course, yeah. Just like go and book a calendar meeting with me if your community or if the brand you're working for is in look to growth. It can be a user acquisition, it can be a community growth. From industry perspective, I'm working literally with not all, but right now I have 7 different industries that I'm working with, and they have both B2B and B2C. Like it's just like I literally don't, because I have a huge agency background. I think that gave me the skills to work with many different like verticals in this field. So yeah, like if you found this talk interesting and you want to know more, we can even have a coffee chat. It doesn't need to be a pitch call, or like it doesn't need to be for a partnership. I'm happy to meet folks with our field. So yeah, happy to connect.
Muge, I think you would be absolutely amazing to work with, because what I see from this interview is you have this inner joy and enthusiasm for the topic that just radiates out, and I really appreciate you and your wisdom that you were able to bring to the conversation today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure, Todd. Like it's a joy to work, like talk and chat with you. So thank you so much for the invitation. It was very, very joyful for myself as well. Thank you, and thank you for everyone who joined today.
Yes, absolutely, everybody. This brings us to the end of today's stream, and I'm so glad you were able to stick with us the whole time, or most of the time. If you are so inclined, would be honored if you would comment and share the stream here, either on LinkedIn or over on our YouTube channel for Clocktower Advisors. As I said, we're going to be back on December the 13th for our community celebration of the holidays, and hopefully having a great time for that. And you're invited to come back for that as well. In the meantime, please be good to yourselves. Take time for yourself this weekend. You're no good to anyone else unless you take care of yourself first. In the meantime, keep building great communities. If you're looking for help with your community, hit me up. I'd be glad to chat with you then. In the meantime, we'll talk to you again in a couple of weeks. See you.